Hey guys, Editing Rayleigh here. Sorry to start the video off with already interrupting myself, but I just wanted to let you know that I recorded the official intro to this video like 2.5 weeks ago. At this point, I'm feeling a lot better, but I want to keep the original intro in because it was really true to how I was feeling at the time. I just wanted to say I'm doing better now. I would love if you keep watching this video. I talk a lot about like chronic illness and being really mad at my body and things like that. So whether you can relate or just want a view into what that's like, that would be awesome for you to watch. It would be awesome for you to listen along or watch along. But yeah, I just wanted to cut in here and let you know that I am doing mostly better now. Hello, welcome to my studio. My name is Rayleigh. I'm an artist based in Central Texas, and I should be birding in West Texas right now. I regularly battle chronic fatigue and general pain and aches due to a few autoimmune diseases, and I also have a few mental health issues. But I'm pretty used to pushing through it, working through my day-to-day, even if my limbs are achy and my head is spinning. It's just, the pain becomes part of the day-to-day, and if you let it stop you, you don't get to do anything. However, the other night, it was all overwhelming. After a few really busy weeks, my body started to shut down. My head was just filled with nothing but dread. So it's for the best that I had to cancel my participation in this trip, but it still stings really bad. But still, personally, I'm incapable of sitting still and doing nothing. Yesterday, I was able to occupy myself with cross-stitching for several hours. I have the piece I'm working on right here. I got a lot of this done yesterday. But today I felt a little bit of that itch to work on a print. I prepared the sketch for a piece a few weeks back. It's gonna be for one of my Patreon prints. I have a Quetzalcoatl on this page and then a little resplendent Quetzal bird on this one. And it's gonna be like, they're gonna layer over each other. It's gonna be one image, but that's the preliminary sketch I'd already finished. So most of the brain work for this project is done, and then the carving process is really stationary and I don't need to move around much for it, which is perfect for needing to rest this week. And I'm pretty positive I'm not gonna actually print the print in this video because that process is pretty labor intensive for me. So in this video, the focus is gonna be on carving this print. Am I using this to distract myself from what would otherwise be a fantastic trip with friends I don't see often and seeing new bird species I've never seen before? Absolutely. But if I'm gonna distract myself with something this week, it might as well be something that produces some cool art as well. So sit back and enjoy watching some cool footage of the wood engraving process, which is the kind of printing I'm doing, while I also talk a bit about the print itself and the various ailments I have and just things I've learned in my life living with them. I'll do my best not to be too complaining, and I promise that by the end of the video, the vibes will be picked back up. I'm just recording this intro at probably the most bitter moment right now. So sit back and enjoy, maybe like and subscribe. I'll talk to y'all again soon. This video has been in the works for about a month now. It's only my third long-form video, and I had fully planned to have it up a few weeks ago. I knew that I wanted to sit down and write a bit of a script for what I was going to say in regards to my illnesses and missing out on the birding event, but after getting the filming done and video mostly edited, I developed a huge block against actually sitting down to write. Whether it was an executive function issue or just a fear of sitting with my own thoughts, I am not too sure, and I don't really feel like trying to figure that out. Before I start talking about my illnesses, though, I want to take a minute to actually explain what the birding trip I missed out on last month was all about. This trip to West Texas marked my birding team's 4th year participating in the Great Texas Birding Classic, a statewide competition held by the Texas Parks and Wildlife. Back in 2022, my college apartment maintenance manager, David, came by to fix a window and noticed that I was studying a biology textbook. I had never spoken to him before that day, but he invited me on an upcoming bird walk near Austin, and I agreed to join based just on good vibes and a good feeling about it. It turns out that he was the ornithology expert with the local master naturalists, and he was the one leading the bird walk. Before that day, I had never actually taken any particular interest in birds before, and this trip ended up changing everything. I carpooled with him and 2 other amazing ladies to Hornsby Bend near Austin, and the vibes were immaculate. The 4 of us got along great. The other 2 girlies already had birding experience, but I was catching on pretty quickly, being in the car with those 3 basically experts. That day, on the drive home, David asked if we'd be interested in competing in a statewide birding competition. It was a little insane and incredibly impulsive, and we all knew it, but we all said yes anyway. Just a few months later, we were birding in the lower Texas coast region, seeing how many species we could identify within 24 hours. That first year of competing as a team, we identified 132 species in one day. In 2023, we identified 125 species in the Heart of Texas West region. In 2024, we broke the record for the Heart of Texas East region, identifying 148 species over 24 hours. And last year, we identified 169 species in the Central Texas Coast region, while also being followed by a videographer with Texas Parks and Wildlife for a TV segment that aired this past March. Each year, the woman in charge of the Birding Classic works with an artist to get a new piece of artwork to represent the competition for the year. Since I first joined my birding team, my art practice has pivoted to being almost entirely focused on birds and conservation versus just the general wildlife I had been drawing before. And David had been trying to convince the woman in charge of the classic to have me be the official artist since day one. This year, I had the huge honor of getting to do just that. I spent months last year working on a large reduction linocut print of an adult and baby American oyster catcher, a design that was inspired by this event and how it's been so amazing for teaching new people and younger generations about birds and wildlife. The use of the oyster catchers also alluded to this year being the 30th anniversary of the event, as the pearl is the modern and traditional 30th anniversary gemstone. And not only was my work used to represent the 2026 30th anniversary competition, but the process of making the piece itself was documented from my own segment with the Texas Parks and Wildlife TV show. Surreal doesn't even begin to cover where this experience has been for me, all the way from the first impulsive invitation to go birding with a stranger to seeing footage of myself and my art on a TV screen. Hey guys, it's Thursday, it's about 11 o'clock. Today is the big day for the competition. I woke up around 9 and I know the rest of my team woke up around 2 a.m. to start getting nocturnal birds. So at least I got to sleep through the night, which is, one plus. Yesterday was definitely a little rough. I didn't feel great for a lot of the day. I didn't get much done. As much as I would love to be there with them, it is also nice knowing that I would be an active hindrance if I was there with them. So it's like a weird, wish I was there, glad I'm not. That's how it goes. Either way, it's Thursday now. I started this video back on Tuesday, and honestly, I expected to be a lot further into this print than I am. I had gone in expecting my progress to be somewhat equivalent to what my progress is when I am feeling great. The last time I was working on one of these engravings was during a residency in Vermont, and I had, 3 weeks of uninterrupted studio time. They were providing meals and everything, so I was able to spend 9 hours a day in the studio and do whatever I want. So I was definitely starting this print in the headspace of oh, I can work on a print that quickly again, which was obviously not the case. So as of now, I'm right here. I'm really happy. I don't know if y'all can see it well. I'll put a photo up if not. I am really happy with how it's coming along so far. The Quetzal, the bird, is really cool. The dragon is the Quetzalcoatl is coming along a lot better than I thought I was going to be able to make it come along. I'm really happy with how the horns are turning out. My blade did slip a little bit yesterday, and I had a little slice taken out of it, which ended up being the end of the day for me. The blade chipped off a bit I didn't want carved off, and I just was like, I'm done for the night. It was pretty late anyway, so it was fine. I feel like I have people ask me a lot when I'm working on these prints, what do you do if you mess up? Do you just start over? And my answer is always just like, no, I just pretend I didn't mess up, which is going to be exactly what I do here. But I feel like the general people who see this print aren't going to be aware of that nick, and even the people who are aware of it, it's like, so what? I know it upsets me more than literally anybody else, so I'm gonna swallow it. I'm really happy with how the rest of it's coming along. So plan for today, obviously work on the print a little bit more. I have my sketch over here. So here's my sketch, and I'm wanting to definitely finish the dragon's face today, and I would like to get started on the feathers too. In an ideal world, I'll get through a good chunk of the dragon and maybe even finish the bird, but again, like I said, in an ideal world, that's what would happen. I'm feeling better today than I was yesterday, which is nice, so we'll see how much I can get done. Feeling pretty good about today. I think I'll be able to get a lot done. Now I want to talk about the time for actually competing for 2026. My team was set to compete in the far west Texas region, which is an 8-hour drive from where I live. Because of an art show conflict, my team went up there a few days before me, and I was going to meet them the following Monday for a few days of scouting, followed by the official competition day on Thursday. For weeks before this, I had been slowing down and sliding towards burnout. I was spending all of my time balancing preparation for the art show and studying bird calls and plumage. At least that's what I was trying to do. Each day, it was getting harder to focus on what I needed to do, despite ADHD meds and caffeine keeping me going. I ended up getting distracted most days with starting a garden and fish tank research, really anything other than doing what I needed to be doing. I didn't quite realize it at the time, but my brain and body was doing all it could to get me to do some sort of rest. Rest that I was planning to take after the art show and birding competition was done, since I didn't have time for it in the moment. Of course, things didn't work out how I planned. Not only was I hurling myself towards burnout, but the stress I was putting myself through was simultaneously causing a Crohn's disease flare-up to start. My symptoms with Crohn's aren't typically as bad as most people with the condition, but it's still a bad time. At about a week out from the art show, I had gone from just flirting with burnout to being exhausted, having massive fatigue, and constant body aches and pains. Still, I was refusing to stop. I was tired and just a little miserable, but at that point, it was just a few days until the art show and the birding trip, and I needed to push through it. Thankfully, the art show went smoothly and was shockingly successful, something I largely attribute to tons of help from my mom and partner and being able to sit down pretty often. Once that was over and my booth was broken down, I went home and took a nap before preparing to leave for the birding trip the very next morning. I was exhausted, but I was committed to going and being a member of my team. However, when I woke up a couple hours later, the only thing I felt was dread. I felt it through my entire body. I usually have anxiety before large events or even small overnight trips, so I know what it feels like to be anxious about doing something. And I know that for me, the solution is usually just to push through the anxiety because it'll always be worth it in the end once I get there and have a good time. But this was something else entirely. I snapped and started crying as I felt weeks of aches flood into my body all at once. I wasn't anxious about the birding trip. I just couldn't physically do it. Looking back, I realized that for weeks, my body had been begging me to stop. Waking up from that nap, I hit my breaking point. Everything hurt, my head was spinning, and the thought of doing anything at all made me want to die. I had to call my team, who was already scouting in West Texas, and tell them I wouldn't be able to meet them there. They were able to compete as a group of 3, thankfully, but that didn't make me feel any better about letting them down. Guilt joined the list of bad feelings I was going through, along with the disappointment of not being able to be there with my team. Monday morning, when I was originally supposed to be leaving for the trip, I was not only still feeling the effects of burnout, guilt, and my Crohn's disease flare-up, but I also then had a stomach virus, of course. To say I was miserable is an understatement. I spent Monday sleeping and cross-stitching, barely able to walk to the kitchen. While upset about the situation and everything going on, I have to admit that I was glad I wasn't trying to push through an 8-hour drive. I don't think I would have been able to do it even if I had tried. Even if I had made it through the long drive, the scouting and competition aren't casual birding by any stretch of the imagination. The competition day itself runs from midnight to midnight and is spent driving between different locations in the region, with each stop scouted in the days before and a list of species we're hoping to find at each location. When in the car, we're all watching the skies and power lines looking for birds. When at a stop, we're usually speed walking or running between bird lines, keeping our eyes peeled and our ears open to hear any bird calls. I'm upset that I had to miss the competition, but it's comforting in a twisted way to know that if I had tried to push myself to make the drive and meet them, I would have been nothing but a hindrance to them. To be on that trip is to be 100% on the entire time, and that's not something I had been physically capable of. I began filming for this video the next day, on Tuesday. It feels incredibly counterintuitive to all of the aforementioned problems, especially the burnout, but I was just feeling so stir-crazy and guilty about not being on the trip. And if I'm being honest, I'm sure that part of why I did this was also as a form of self-punishment. I think I understood that at the time, so I at least set some boundaries that I could only work and film when I wanted to be, rather than treating it as work I needed to do and trying to clock in and clock out. The stomach virus lasted all the way through Wednesday. Once it passed, I felt a bit better, but I was still left with an enormous amount of physical fatigue and brain fog. A couple of weeks ago, after I had finished filming for this video, I watched a different video by Swell Entertainment called Did the Journal Factory Explode? She talked a lot about the strangeness that is people airing all of their troubles and struggles on social media, often things that would be best left in a personal journal or discussed among friends and family. I'm not too sure if this video falls into that category of content considering the amount of complaining and airing of personal grievances I'm doing, but at this point I'm not sure if I can bother caring about that. Of course, you won't catch me here talking about any relationship or family struggles, but this whole chronic and mental illness thing feels worth talking about publicly and sharing. Plus, I'm not usually one to feel too sorry for myself, and I almost never discuss it on my socials except sometimes on my Patreon. So making this video of myself complaining is a little bit of an indulgence for myself as well. Now, as I move into June, the problems that plagued me during filming are starting to subside. I've been making myself take things slow. I think my flare-up is almost cleared, and I'm getting excited about my work again. I even got a new printing press to help me with my work. I'm making a point to rest enough every day, and I'm letting myself take breaks more often without feeling guilty. This Saturday is the awards ceremony for the 2026 Great Texas Birding Classic, and I plan to attend with my team and a framed copy of the original artwork to display, even though I couldn't be there for the actual competition day. Hey guys, I'm gonna be honest, this outro is being recorded like 2 weeks after I recorded everything else. I recorded an outro earlier and had totally cropped off the entire top half of my head, so I'm just re-recording this now. But here is the finished block. Like I said, it's a couple weeks later. I still haven't printed it yet, but there are plans in the works for how I'm gonna go about getting it printed. But here it is. I am still so happy with it. It honestly turned out a lot better than I was expecting it would. I don't know how obvious it comes across to other people, but this is a lot more like graphic than I usually work. So it was really fun trying to push the boundaries for my illustration style with this print. I'm feeling a lot better now than I was when I recorded most of this video. I'm working on figuring out how I'm gonna go about printing this. My original plan had been to join a printing studio either in Houston or Austin, but after running some numbers, I'm considering just buying a small beginner cylinder press to have here in my studio, because it'd be like a 2-hour drive one way to get to one of the official print studios that I could join a membership for. So I'm in the midst of crunching numbers right now to figure out how to justify buying an actual press to have in my studio, which would be amazing, but it's definitely not a small investment. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for sitting along with me complaining and talking about being sick. I'm hoping if you deal with any chronic illnesses, you were able to relate and like find some solace in this. I know that my case of chronic illness and autoimmune disease is pretty mild compared to a lot of people's. I know there are a lot of people who can barely get out of bed when they're going through a hard time, so I'm really lucky that with my symptoms and my illnesses and diseases, I'm still able to get up and make things. If you know anyone with chronic illness or autoimmune diseases, make sure to cut them some slack, especially when they're feeling sick. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching me carve this and that I wasn't too down in the dumps for you for this video. If you're interested in getting any of my work, I do have an online website down below. I also have a Patreon where I have prints like these as rewards, along with stickers and patches. And then if you want to support me but don't feel like spending any money, which is completely understandable in this economy, I also have an Instagram where I post regularly, and I just started a TikTok in this last week, which has been kind of fun. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and check out everything else I have down below in the description. And I hope your local birds are singing and that your day only gets better from here. Thanks for watching.